Hi guys. I'm just um, wanted to do a video about November's energy, and it's really funny because this morning I was like exhausted when I woke up. Like the energy, I just had none. I had zero energy, and I just thought that I was going to lay in bed all day. And then something happened like mid afternoon. Not entirely sure what it was, but I got this huge burst of energy, and I was like, I'm going to do a video. So, really want to talk about November and actually kind of the rest of the year, like the next 2 months. Yeah, guys, we only have 2 months left. Tomorrow's Halloween. I mean, it's quite interesting, like, how fast this year went. And somebody was having a conversation. I'm trying to do my best to like keep my hair out of my microphone so you guys can. It has a mind of its own. So I apologize if it gets muffled because, excuse me, that happens. So yeah, there was this conversation. I think I saw it on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling that place now. About how fast time feels since 2020, since the pandemic. And really, if we backtrack that since 2018, like everything really feels like it's been speeding up super duper fast since 2018. It feels like we've gone like we're in overdrive, like everything is sort of in overdrive. And I think a lot of that is because we're all extra stimulated. There's like this extra stimulation that's happening, kind of like all the time. Um, and I think about things like that because I always lived a really, really fast paced life. And I was always just kind of like rush, 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 go, go, go. And I, didn't slow down until I got sick. Not, I would not recommend, 0 out of 10. Do not recommend like driving yourself into the ground and ending up with cancer. Do not recommend. Please take care of yourself. And that's like the thing is, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard for women to take good care of themselves if there's not a solid foundation for them to take care, especially like single moms. It's so, it's like moms anyways, right? As a mom. And yes, there are single fathers out there too that have, the lifestyle also where they cannot take care of themselves. They soothe in probably more toxic ways than they should be soothing themselves. But there's like this really the real pandemic, epidemic, like whatever we want to call it, is um, just like feeling like you have to rush through the day, feeling like you have to like go, 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 go. And there's, this is that time of year where we have big, massive transformations happening. We just had the equinox, going into Libra season. We're now into Scorpio season, deep into Scorpio season. And this Scorpio season is featuring Mars opposite Pluto. Mars is in Cancer right now. In fact, the first week in November, we have 3 moons. Of 3 moons, we have 2 new moons. Let me rephrase that. Wow. We have 2 new moons in November, one on the first day of November and one on the last day of November. And then we also have, and actually, the Sagittarius new moon, I did my notes when I was still in mountain time. So the Sagittarius new moon is technically Eastern time, will be on the 1st of December and not the last day of November. So, um, wherever you are in the world, it's going to be a little bit different for the Sagittarius new moon that's on November 30th. But the Scorpio new moon brings us into November, and the Scorpio new moon comes with Mercury trining Mars, Mercury sextiling Pluto, and Mars opposing Pluto, and then Mercury ingressing Sagittarius, which Mercury will begin retrograde in Sagittarius on the 25th, which is just a couple days before Thanksgiving. So we're going to begin a Mercury retrograde during Sagittarius season. So Mercury ingresses Sagittarius with there's a lot of, I know that Mars is in Cancer and I know that Pluto is in Capricorn, but it's still very aggressive. It's this opposition is extremely catty. That's how it feels. It feels very much like so I'm a Mars in Cancer, right? And with this opposition, it's really bringing out the worst qualities of my Mars. And like, I'm all hunched over. Like, I feel so ashamed sometimes of like what I've done. So I'm all hunched over, got to stretch, sit up straight and stretch my back. So with Mars in Cancer opposite Pluto in Capricorn, there is this quality of feeling like you kind of have to prove yourself in some way, or feeling like, in a way, there's kind of a victim complex when it comes to that Mars in Cancer. Excuse me. I am, again, a Mars and Cancer native. This is my Mars return, and it's like the worst Mars return I think I've ever had in my life. And so, yeah, so you are really finding out and in a big way what it is that you want to fight against, what it is that you want. This is happening during the election. Like Mars opposite Pluto will be happening exact on the second and the third. It's going to be on the first week, and then we're going to have Mars ingressing Leo. So there's just this air of combativeness. Like I'm being really soft about it. Like I'm not trying to be like the loud fear mongering astrologers, like everybody's gonna get into arguments and stuff like that. But no, for real, you guys, like when you're out driving or you're just out in general public, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of your surroundings, because people are going to act like fools around this, especially because, of the election. I'm really glad that a lot of people are going out to vote early. Like I hate to say that, but I really am, because there's such an abundance of humans in this country now that one election day really can't do it anymore. Like it's not sustainable. We can't do that, right? And that's one of the things that I feel like is changing. Like we're all having some pretty deep conversations with each other. In just this week alone, I've had the discussion with several people about how our food is killing us. Isn't that what the FDA is there for, to regulate the food things that are, I mean, like all of the essential food, like the foods that are like fortified with those essential vitamins. I'm doing quotations because they're not real vitamins, but it's like fortified. And like I worked with a guy at an environmental firm, and he used to work in a factory that made things like Frosted Flakes or something like that. And like, I don't remember if it was Frosted Flakes or if it was something else, but like one week they were making like a special kind of flake, or like the frosting on the flake was green. And like, he would just grab like a handful of them, every once in a while, and just like taste, that's just what they did at the job. Like that's just, there was like this bowl of Frosted Flakes there or something like that. I don't remember exactly how it was, but like they would taste them. And TMI, but like when he would use the restroom, it would be, his feces would be green, like neon green with all those. And and he was like, he was one of them in charge to spray the fortified, the enriched whatever's in it. or like on top, like the topping on it, and that's fortified and enriched and just in full of sugars and just whatever. Anyways, but it, that stuff, it stops our system from actually working properly, and it's becoming a problem. And I don't like when they started doing it back in the day, back in the 80s, really is when like all this enriched food started happening and everything like that. They were really trying to find like ways to get vitamins, and because people weren't cooking at home anymore. They wanted faster foods and stuff like that. And so they were trying to find these ways. And I don't think that they realized 40, 50 years later that it would be causing, that it would turn into carcinogens in our bodies. And that's really what is happening. I'm not here to like be on my not here to be on this high horse or anything like that. Like I'm a really big advocate of being healthy right now, and it is unfortunate that it took me getting sick for me to finally get there. I was working on it before I got sick. Like I really was working like very hard on being healthy. And I had changed so many bad habits that I had had for decades. I was a smoker for 23 years, and I quit smoking in 2019, and that was 2 years before I was diagnosed. So I was already changing my habits, but I research a lot these days. And because my cancer, I don't really own it when I say that, but it's part of my life. It's who I am right now. This is like my full-time job, being a cancer patient, and but doing research on being healthier in the body. And you come across things and you read them and you're like, God, that makes a lot of sense. And why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling and stuff like that. And I know that you can't trust everything that you read these days, and you can't trust everything that you see, and you can't trust a lot of things these days. But the thing that you can trust is the way that the food makes you feel when you put it in your body. Like you got to start. And that was one of the biggest changes that I made to my life. And why am I saying all of this? Because this Mars opposition to Pluto is making us really look at our own personal battles in a lot of ways. And especially when Mars turns retrograde, and that's not going to happen. Let me look. Mars will retrograde on December 6th, okay, at 6 degrees Leo, because Mars ingresses Leo on the 3rd of November, okay? So, and then, so Mars will retrograde on December 6th, and especially then because, um, Mars in Cancer really contains their aggression until they can't contain their aggression anymore. Like when you think of Cancer, it's kind of, you think of a container, right? And so that's what I'm bringing all of this up, is because, we really have to look right now. A lot needs to change. We're at 29 degrees Pluto in Capricorn, and that is really death to the establishment, death to the old foundations, death to the old ways of doing things. And Pluto and Capricorn, there were a lot of things that were established, government wise, and things that there was just some things that it kind of took away the freedom that we all surprisingly thought that we had. And and so time does feel like it's a lot faster. And even more so, it's right now during, right this time. Saturn will be stationing direct during the Taurus full moon on the 12th. Saturn has been retrograde in Pisces since August. I had to think about that, and then I remembered. Um, and has it been August? Was it before then? It was before then. Saturn was retrograde before then. Um, I don't remember. I would have to go back and look at my notes, and I am not going to put you guys through that. Anyway, so Saturn will be stationing direct in Pisces at 12 degrees Pisces. And during the Taurus full moon. And Venus will also be squaring the nodes. The sun will be opposite Uranus during that time. November feels like um, we kind of have to write some things, like reset some things, like re. It's very, I don't know. It feels like a redo almost, or it feels like there are some things that, and maybe it's because Saturn is going to be in his post shadow period, going back over the same degrees that he, was in. And so we really do have to sort of like reestablish this foundation, um, in a big way. And a lot of that, depending on where that Saturn in Pisces is for you, for me, it's been in my sixth house. And so a lot of the health things coming along, and there is a lot of, new authority and new doctors and new things. I have to get smarter, and I have to get more disciplined when it comes to my health. So really, wherever Saturn is, and Saturn in Pisces isn't always exactly clear, on what it is. And sometimes people can, get into more of a victim mentality with that, with the idea of whatever Saturn is trying to get you to pay attention to. Um, but it really does. It feels like this is sort of that opportunity for us to look at what it is, where we've been, where we've come from, what we've done this year, and where we've come from, and where it is that we're going. I feel like a lot of people were uprooted. I don't know that it was just me. I feel like there were a lot of people in my circle of, they were uprooted. And then um but yeah, there's the aggression part of all of this is, you have to pay attention to your surroundings. You have to pay attention to what's happening and really what's going on. um it's like people aren't really paying attention. I don't know if it's overstimulation or if it's just like, I don't know. I can't, and like maybe you guys have sort of an idea of like what I'm talking about, but um it just seems, and it's kind of sad. Like Henry was even bringing up this morning how, festivals, like nobody wants to do festivals anymore. Nobody wants to go to festivals. Nobody wants to organize festivals and do them. And a lot of that is because of I feel like it's because, either people are cutting corners doing it, or like there's a lot of violence that happens when crowds come together these days. And people are just really acting out. They're not being at their best. And I think it's a lot of it is because, again, the epidemic of just, not really learning, not really learning how to act, and thinking that you're entitled to something, or thinking that somebody owes you whatever you think it is. Life owes you whatever it is that you think it is. Um, so yeah, so we will have some really fun, like I really like the Mercury opposing Jupiter retrograde. Mercury in Sagittarius opposite Jupiter in Gemini retrograde. I feel like that's going to be, kind of something, but Mercury will be in the pre-shadow period at that time. So you may even find that something happening that is on the 18th, just after the Taurus full moon, But the sun is also trining Neptune at that same time, and Venus is also squaring the nodes at the time. The sun will be opposing Uranus at the time. Like there's a lot of really good um, get up and go and get it done kind of energy. And it could just be like the beginnings of a project or something new on the horizon, something new that's coming in and happening. And then the sun in Sagittarius on the 21st until December 21st. And immediately the sun will sextile Pluto, which is now in Aquarius at 0 degrees. So, yeah. And then the end of like the beginning of Sagittarius season, the end of November, we'll have a Venus square Chiron and Mercury retrograde. So yeah, it's the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius this year. It's going direct on. Hold on a second. I know I have on the 15th of December. So um, it's that's like right in the middle of the shopping season. That's like right in the middle of the holidays and Mercury retrograde. So, last year I was like, get all your shopping done by this time. But honestly, like you may want to wait until after December 15th to even, or just because I don't know that you want to do online shopping during that. Just bringing that up. Anyways, um, yeah, just this November it's going to continue to move fast. And I think that just even the rest of the year going into December, I keep looking out my window and thinking about how like quick the vehicles are going back and forth. And that's sort of what it feels like. It feels like there's just nobody's slowing down. Nobody's like taking the time to do things. And being like someone that's being forced to slow down and do things, it's really easy to watch how everybody's sort of like stumbling over themselves because they're constantly in that mode of action and like I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And I want you to remember that time is sort of a relative sometimes. I mean, like I say that being a person that is at home all day long and doesn't really keep a schedule, but even when I had a schedule, like I was not a person that was constantly looking at the clocks. I was not a person that was constantly, like I kept my schedule and I kept my routine, and that was that. It wasn't, planning every 10 minutes of the day and doing, you don't like doing that to yourself really disrupts your nervous system. And I get the everything that's happening now. Like I couldn't imagine trying to like be really serious and hardcore about a social media business right now because just promoting yourself and like having to put yourself out there and doing all of those things, everybody's just over. It's just an overabundance of it. So you get lost in the shuffle and you get lost in things. So something is there's all of this pressure that we're feeling and all of this really fast paced energy and all of it's there's a lot of change that happens in that chaos in the last 2 months of the year. Like it's I'm starting to look at next year, and I'm not going to say that things like ease up next year. That's certainly not really a thing because we're all in for like an era change in 2025. Like there's a whole generational era change that's going to be happening in 2025. So um, I certainly don't want to say that things are going to get easier by any means, but this is all meant to be happening so that we can continue to move forward and we can continue to change and we can continue to thrive and create and find out who we are. And it's without change, if you're just being stagnant and there's no change, there's no growth and there's no possibility, and it's just kind of like like that dead line, that kind of dead line. um and that's fine for, I guess, but I sort of feel like things that are stagnant, they just sort of wilt and die eventually. Um, so yeah, and I really think that November is asking us to try to tune out the noise. And it's not easy to like reset your nervous system. It's really not easy to do that. You have to be extremely intentional in this day and age to be able to reset your nervous system and start over. And so like starting a practice to do things like that, like simple things. I saw a video, I don't remember where I saw it, but in all my research that I'm doing to be healthier and to like live a more peaceful existence and a more peaceful life, like if you stick your finger in your ear at the bottom of your ear and pull down and just breathe and like massage as you're pulling it down, like massage the bottom of your ear, it immediately relaxes your vagus nerve. You can do it on both sides. Pull that down immediately. And like kind of push in. Like don't do it too hard. Just for some people it's really uncomfortable to do it. So just like make sure that you're putting the kind of pressure that you want to do it. You don't want to counteract what you're trying to do and be like all, but like this is a pressure point exactly towards your vagus nerve right here at the bottom of your ear, and it's attached to your vagus nerve. So when you massage it, it helps your vagus nerve to calm down and to relax. And your vagus nerve runs from your brain all the way down into your stomach, and it is literally the one that puts out all of the messages to the rest of your nervous system and the rest of your body too. There's so many parts of your body and nervous system. Release the hormones, this and all of that, right? And that's what brings anxiety and things like that. So when you're anxious like that, it's easy. It also, I just did that. It made my headache go away. I had a little headache right before I started this video. Um, but being able to release that anxiety and like calm yourself down, it's going to help with not projecting onto other people and not, um, how do I want to put this? Other people won't annoy you as much if you are calm. If you find a way to find peace in your life and you can find some calmness in your life, um, yeah, it'll be a lot easier to deal with other people too. So, um, I have my reading open. I was thinking like maybe I should do a live coming up so we can all chat about this a little bit more. I think that it's an important topic, especially with the energy that's going to be happening in November. So, might do that maybe next week after. Maybe not next week. Maybe the week after. I have a lot of tests that I have to have done next week. And I'm going to be pretty exhausted, I think. So probably by like, in a couple weeks into November, we'll talk about, we'll do a live and we'll talk about it. Maybe I'll cook something. That'll be fun. I do have my 6-month reading available. It's the only thing on my calendar that is open. My calendar is open for November and December right now if you want to get your 6-month reading. My calendar is already filled up through halfway through November. So if you want to get the 6-month reading, I do January through June 2025. It has always kind of been everybody's favorite reading. It's really accurate. So sometimes I don't even know how that happens. It's your guides. Your guides tell me what to do. So if you want to do that, you can go to my website, fearlessintuition.as.me, and it'll be in the description box below. I love you guys. Have a wonderful Halloween tomorrow. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks of November. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.